My name is Antonio Knox, and you are listening to The Gradient Radio, an open space to converse about creativity for creatives by creatives. And our guest today is one of the most prolific. Not only is he well respected in the fashion game, his name carries the same. Today, our guest is Earl Mack. What's up, brother?
What's good?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing good, man. Good to be here.
Yeah, man. I'm glad that you came out and took some time. It's a pleasure to be able to have these conversations with you many times. But for people to be able to hear our conversations is a blessing.
Yeah, for sure.
So for the people who may not know who you are, who is Earl Mack?
I would say Earl Mack is an artist, designer, creator. He's a son. He's a brother. I'm also the co-owner of Chilalay. I work with my business partner, Nico Dennis. And then I also do Earl Mack as an artist, and Earl Mack Studios as my design company that I'm working on.
Yeah. So out of all of the things that you do creatively, is there one thing that brings you the most joy?
Creating overall. I started off painting and doing a lot of, just visual arts. I went to VCU for sculpture and multimedia. And I've always kind of just had like a passion for drawing and creating. And I've always had a passion for clothes as well. So, the two have kind of like overlapped a lot of my life. And now my main focus is, designing and creating clothes.
Yeah. So I read this book it's called The Mastery by Robert Greene.
Mm-hmm.
And basically in that book, it speaks about a select few of people who became masters at a particular craft. And the thing about mastery, how they got to mastery, is that like they combined multiple fields into one to be able to solve a problem.
Mm-hmm. And
it seems like you kind of are merging many worlds, many creative worlds to create a world in itself for the things that you've done. How does it feel to be able to have multiple disciplines and to be able to articulate your visions in many different ways?
It kind of comes naturally because I've always been into a lot of different things. As a kid, I played multiple sports in school and also skateboarded at the same time and was still finding time to draw all the time. So as I got older, I just kind of figured out ways to do those things, but kind of just be a little bit more focused. And then also like not spreading myself too thin, but allowing myself to have enough room to kind of feel like I can create whenever I want to and whenever I need to. Because nowadays, like it's kind of gone from like a hobby to an actual career in a say. Like I work for myself. I do graphic design for other people as well as for the brands that I work for. And that's just kind of been like this transition that I've gone through from like being I would say a part-time artist to a full-time creator.
Yeah. I know for me, when you speak about transition from your hobby becoming like your career, or you're doing work for clients, it was a little difficult for me at first because I was so used to feeling as if whatever I created was just like law, like
Mm-hmm.
it had to be that. And when you come up against clients and they have like a specific idea for things, typically sometimes they push back on like those ideas that you have for them.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have the same process of just kind of releasing some of the love that you have for your projects,
Mm-hmm.
and getting to a point of becoming a professional with it?
Yeah, I mean, whenever you're working for people, you kind of have to give up a little bit of like the ego or whatever. Because at the end of the day, you want the client to be happy. You want to make sure that you're giving them something that they're gonna go back and share with people, and potentially it could lead to more work. And the times when you're working with a client and you're trying to just push, what you want on them, it can kind of affect the relationship, but then also like it kind of just makes you like resent the work too at the same time. And I've like the more I'm working with Chilalay and I'm working with Earl Mack and I'm working with ABAC, and you know, a few other people, I find that like my time is very valuable. So I'm not really taking all the jobs, you know, like I'm actually trying to like push, you know, give some work out to people that I know who need it. Because there's only so many hours in a day, and I also have a lot of stuff that I'm trying to get out on my own. So I make time for the things I really want to do. You know, and you know, financially, I know like I need to do, you know, X amount of gigs, you know, per month to make sure like everything is met. But I still, I'm very hungry as an artist to still like create and put stuff out, you know, that I want to show, and then things that I want for me and my team to work on. I feel like the the people that I have around me right now are kind of like a big motivating factor for, you know, how can we get better? You know, like how can how can we push these ideas a little bit further? Because I'm realizing that I can't do it all on my own.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah. Nah, it's better when you have a team, and so it gives you the ability to do more, but also it gives you the ability to delegate and give other tasks to other people who may be better at that specific task, for you to be able to progress forward. You know, you spoke about, you know, just getting better daily, and essentially growth. What does that look like for you?
Um, it's a daily practice. You know, it's discipline, sacrifice. It's actually, you know, sometimes like stepping back and looking at, you know, what I've done and what I'm trying to do, and the things that I'm actually doing. You know, like doing like a real like life audit. You know, like and being 100% honest with yourself, because like a lot of times we can make it seem like, you know, things are going great. You know, and on the outside, from like social media standpoint, it could look like everything is, you know, you got everything going together. But when in reality, like there are things missing. You know, there's certain moves you're not making, and you know you want to make those moves, but why aren't you? You know, and when you can, you know, actually like have those conversations with people you respect and trust, and also have those conversations with yourself and be honest, then you can actually start to get better. You know,
Yeah.
and I feel like a lot of times it's putting in the work. You know, it's not being afraid to kind of step out of your comfort zone and try new things and learn new things. Um, as being a business owner for the past couple of years, I've had to learn a lot of new skills and had to like had tough conversations with people in order to like figure out what it is I'm doing that's could be better.
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like, you know, I've done a lot over these years. I'm not one to kind of like brag or boast about like the things that I've done, but you know, I have a catalog and a portfolio of projects that I've worked on with people, some big, some small. But when you actually kind of put it into perspective, it's like, all right, this is good, you know. But where I'm trying to go is far you know, greater than that.
Yeah.
And in order to get to those places, like it's a real like, I don't know. It's like you really have to make a real decision. Like, what am I gonna do in order to do that? Um, and a lot of it, I feel like it's knowing who you are, knowing what you're capable of, and not being afraid to kind of like push yourself. You know, like when you when you're like on a team, like you have like players and coaches to kind of like help to, bring the best out of you.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the best players, like your Kobe's and your Michael Jordans, like they always had like that internal thing that just pushed them to want to be better than everybody else.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to like, you got to find that, and not everybody has it, but I feel like everybody could if they really wanted it as bad.
Yeah.
And and it's like in designing, how do you create content that makes people want to come back and consume and share and post, and you know and a lot of that's like pushing yourself,
Yeah.
also studying, being a student to the culture and to the things that you care about. It doesn't have to be fashion. It could be engineering,
Mm-hmm.
it could be science.
Yeah.
If those are the things you really care about, you push yourself to become like to know more about it.
Yeah. Facts.
And if you don't know, like you get around people who do. Like, I think the company you keep is very important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To be able to see the growth over the years of you and the collective at Chilalay. Because I mean that's kind of like how we met, right? Like,
Yeah.
y'all were just about to release a collection
Mm-hmm.
For the summertime, and I was going to do.
What was that? That was like 2014, 13.
I think so. Like 7 years.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It doesn't feel like it though.
No, not at all.
It doesn't feel like it. 7 years gone by like so quickly, and I remember, y'all having ambitions to putting yourself in a position where you guys are at now. Having a store, and just like doing so many things around the city. How has it been? How has it felt? From that moment, obviously before then, when you first started Chilalay and all of that, can you speak about the inception of Chilalay, but also the journey of where you guys are right now?
It's so crazy. Me and Nico were actually having a conversation about this like not too long ago, and it really kind of started from being around friends. Chilalay means to chill and relax, and it was we were at VCU. We were kind of just kicking it. I think we were smoking, and somebody just said Chilalay, and we just kept saying it and saying it and saying it and saying it, and then like it just turned into a thing, and we started doing pop-up shops out here in Richmond, and we were doing them with the intentions of really just kind of bringing people together. Like we weren't really even thinking about us making clothes, because I was actually doing another clothing line at the time that we started Chilalay, and Nico and I were kind of like really like working on that, and we started working with the Chilalay team, and it was very organic. It didn't feel like anything was forced. We were kind of really just, we wanted to do something. We felt that there was a space open for us to kind of just create at our own pace and our own like leisurely time. And it's kind of like with Chilalay, it's we do stuff intentionally, but we also like we don't try to force things. Like they kind of just flow. In a sense of, all right, we want to do a pop-up shop. We want to find some dope brands that we personally can have a connection with, and also kind of represent like the image that we're trying to bring with streetwear. And through having connections and like knowing people, like we're able to like fill the first pop-up shops with some dope brands, and then have like art. So Chilalay, the 3 stars in Chilalay stand for art, fashion, and culture. And everything that we do, we try to actually like really embody that. And culture is almost everything. It's music, it's lifestyle, You know, it's sports. It's things that kind of affect our day to day. And it's your culture. You know, it's not everything in culture. It's the culture that represents the brand. And if you ever come to like a First Friday event, you can kind of see that firsthand. We always have new artists showcasing work. Um, we always try to have a drop that has some type of backstory to it. You know, give some type of narrative so that y'all can kind of understand like where we're coming from. You know, because a lot of the clothes that we make, they definitely like they embody our day to day life. You know, like one of our go to designs is just this smiley face design. It says smile, it gets better. And sometimes like you going through stuff in life and it seems bleak and you don't really know like what's gonna happen, but a smile is an action. You know, it's something you can actually control, and and the thought of it can get better is also something you can control. Everything else that happens, is somewhat out of your control. Like I can't control what this person's gonna do or what they're gonna say, but I can control how I'm gonna react to it.
Yeah.
And that is kind of what like Chilalay is really about. It's kind of like overcoming adversity and putting it on T-shirts and giving people opportunities to kind of like showcase their stuff in our store. And whenever we do pop-ups, like we like to work with people. We've done a lot of collaborations in the past. We're definitely about trying to build relationships with people, and then also like we know what it's like to be on the outside. Like we know what it's like to try to how can I showcase my work? Where can I go? Like how can I do a pop-up shop? What do I have to do? Like we did all that. Like the reason I try to throw shows is because I know what it's like trying to be an artist that needs to show their work. I've only shown in the gallery probably like twice, but I've done tons of shows.
Yeah.
I've done art shows in Art Basel. I've showed work in New York, and art has kind of taken me all over the globe so far. Well, not so much the globe, but United States.
I mean, speak that though. Speak what you
Yeah,
want, bro.
but that's where we're trying to go. And I love the atmosphere that I'm seeing right now on Broad Street. There's a lot more stores opening up. Shout out to Rotate, The Spot, The Collective, Kicks Booming. It's been a refreshing revitalization of Broad Street in a sense. From the riots in 2020 to the pandemic, and kind of like coming back from that and seeing people saying, oh, I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm like, and seeing us out here already. Like round 2 got hit up pretty bad, but it sucks to see it. But at the same time, like it's been refreshing to see like new business, kind of like bringing like that energy back to Broad Street.
Yeah, it's like the Phoenix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rising from the ashes, and showing people that you can do something out here, bro. Like there's opportunities, like no one ever told us we couldn't do what we've been trying to do. Like it hasn't really been too much. No, you can't. It's just like, are you going to do it? Like, are you actually going to like put the work in to see this through? Like, are you going to try to open a store? Are you going to be in there every day? Are you going to like bust your ass to make sure that, everything looks good when you open, and then continue to keep the doors open? Because, opening a store is one thing, but like if you can keep it open, you got something.
Yeah. Yeah. When we first met, I mentioned earlier it was through like the Chilalay connection, and you guys were looking for someone to do like your lookbook, but like at the time, your name was like it was like fire in the city at the time when it came to like your Earl Mack brand, like with your like arts and your painting.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, man. Like I said, like your name was just like super on fire. Like everyone knew your name, and one thing you didn't know is like your Earl Mack logo, right? Like I was inspired by that to like make my Knox joint, like the Knox script that like everyone like knows and love right now. But that was like inspired by your joint because at the time I just had like a symbol, and I wasn't like too firm on it.
Hmm.
Like I just couldn't think of anything else at the time, and like when I saw like your Earl Mac, the letters, I was like, dog, this on fire. I was like,
Thank you.
this on super fire, and I had to create something in alignment to that. Um, but can you speak more to like your Earl Mac brand, your artist, your artistry?
Hmm.
Because I feel like that's like your personal brand, right?
Yeah, that's me. That's me. Like 100%. I started Earl Mac um really solely off just the paintings. When I was at VCU, my grandfather had passed away, like my last year, and so when he passed away, I kind of just like locked myself in my crib for a couple months and was just painting, and I had done all these paintings, and at the end of the process, um, you know, I was feeling better. It was a way for me to kind of like cope and deal with my grief. You know, art has always kind of been like very therapeutic for me. And when I finished the paintings, um, I hadn't signed any of them because I was kind of like, I want this to be like uh, a rebirth of like me as an artist. Because I used to sign all my paintings EZ because my middle name is Zach. Um, but I wanted to come up with a name that I felt really embodied, like my whole name, you know. And so like Earl is my legal first name. My last name is Morris, so I took the M from Morris and replaced it with the Z, and I just came to Mac. And so that was like Earl Mac, and I was like, all right, I can sign my pieces like this, and it feels right. And then the actual like creating of the script font um, was just it was just repetitive of just like drawing my name over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Um, like when you got people who do graffiti, they always kind of like just like do their tag many different ways. Um, and so like that's what it was for me. It was just like this is like my tag for my paintings, and the more I started to do it, and I guess the more I was painting a lot more back then. Um, I haven't really been painting as much recently, but back, and this is like probably 2012 to like 2015 is probably like when I was like going the hardest with painting and showing stuff. And then like 2016 to 17, I kind of transitioned more over to fashion a lot heavier. Um, still wanting to make art, but just knowing that art is or paintings, if they're not commissioned, sometimes are like passion projects. Like in the ideal world, if I had all the money in the world, I'd probably still make clothes, but I probably would spend more time making paintings. Um, it's just one of those things that I care deeply about. I'm still drawing. I draw all the time. I draw every day. Um, like when I leave here, I'm about to be drawing for several hours. But that's part of like the repetitions. You got to get those reps in. Like I'm now trying to uh, push myself to get better by doing more. Like you know, I look at, you know, what I've done so far, and it's good. I would say it's good, but it could be better. It could definitely be better. So just pushing yourself, man. Like, and not getting too in your head, you know, thinking you the shit, but knowing that, like, yeah, this was good, you know. How can the next thing be better than this?
Yeah.
Because, you know, we live in like this culture right now where like everything is happening so fast and you can see everything. So it's like, you know, you could have done the most amazing art installation ever, like today, and then somebody's doing something tomorrow, and they're kind of like, oh, well, this is the new thing now.
Mm-hmm.
But, and that's kind of how fashion is, you know, fashion and art kind of like they're working kind of hand in hand. So it's really like an easy, it's easy to jump from, you know, art to fashion.
Yeah.
And with the Earl Mack stuff, I'm actually trying to push that boundary a little bit more too. You know, I started painting on tees, and it's kind of like been giving me the little art itch that I look for. You know, even though it's like this shirt I'm wearing right now, it's hand painted, and then I screen print on top of it, and so it's kind of like I can still paint. I just got to be a little bit more strategic about it, and you know, it's crazy. Like these shirts sell quicker than the pieces do. You know, but no, that's me just understanding, you know, the climate, you know, what's going on, culture, and being a fan and being passionate about, you know, what it is that I'm putting out.
Yeah. Yeah. At one point, did you ever get like big headed? Like you just knew your work was like.
No, I've never actually gotten to that point, bro. Like, because no matter how good I am, I always know there's somebody out there better than me, you know. And my goal is really to just, you know, get my stuff out there, you know, make sure like, you know, all my bills are paid, you know, make sure, you know, the team and my family is straight, and to be able to maneuver however I want, you know, like I don't have to have $1 million to be successful, you know. I feel like if I have enough bread to just move how I want, and kind of like set up, you know, certain partnerships. You know, there's things that I want to do. Like, you know, I would love to drop a pair of sneakers with a company. You know, I would love to like do a collab with, you know, one of these big name brands that I look up to. You know, do a collab with some of the artists and designers that I look up to. But I feel like in order to do that, you know, I got to make sure, you know, my house is in order. You know, I got to make sure that like when I come, I'm coming correct. You know, and that's a part, and that's the whole process of getting better. You know, you you have to make sure that like when you're trying to maneuver, with like the upper echelon of like the fashion industry and the art industry, like that you coming correct. You know, because
Facts.
everybody's already on it. You know, like nobody's really. People are doing new stuff, but like they're still kind of doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like, why do they want to rock your stuff or buy your art versus the next person?
Yeah.
You know, and part of it's gonna be like, cause it's good,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other part's gonna be like, nah, because like their body of work is actually like it's speaking to me. You know, like a person who has one fire painting to the person who has 100 paintings. You know, like some of them are gonna be fire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it's just like the portfolio of work just kind of speaks for it. You know.
Facts. Yeah. Just like you, the catalyst when, let me say this, when I was going through like my grieving process, like when you say you lost your grandfather, and you know you started to paint, right? Like the catalyst for the film that I created was like the passing of my aunt, and like me going like through that grieving process and understanding, you know, how grief is something that comes in waves, and it's not something that you necessarily get over. It's just something that you kind of like learn to deal with over time, and to be able to find or to be able to create through that process was just like a breath of fresh air, honestly. So I definitely like feel that.
Um, dealing with grief, dealing with loss, man, is it's never an easy thing, man. Like to this day, I know my grandmother still misses my grandfather, and it's almost like he just passed away.
Mm.
But I feel like taking what I learned from those people, and trying to apply the positive things to my life. That what I learned is kind of like the biggest, you know, nod or like way to pay homage to that person. Like my grandfather was a very wise and caring, and he was in the business of people. You know, he cared a lot about people, and so I find myself nowadays like trying to emulate that. Trying to apply those things, like apply that wisdom to my life. And it's easier said than done because I'm kind of an introvert, so like it takes a lot for me to kind of like warm up to people. Like I can kind of come off like kind of cold sometimes, but it's not just because like I just have to like catch this or like catch the energy. Like I gotta see what's going on first,
Yeah.
and then I can kind of open up. But I always try to like make sure that I put people first. Try to put people first. And I feel like people will also, in return, try to help you out. But you know, when you're doing things for the money, or and just solely for the money, uh, it it sometimes can kind of like taint the the project, or in a sense, like I know a lot of people out here are doing, are trying to make as much money as they can, and I respect it. I'm trying to get paid as well, but I feel like it's a I don't know, it's a give and take type of thing. Like you have to give. You have to be willing to give, and whether it's financially or like your time or your energy, like being able to give something away, um, and not always trying to get something in return, but like to actually just I'm giving this way because I feel like you need it, bro. Like, and sometimes it could just be like sitting down talking to somebody, like, no, bro, like I can tell you going through something,
Mm.
and if you need to talk, I'm here. Or like, yeah, like you could be, you need some bread. I need some. I'm low right now, and if I got it, I can give.
Yeah.
I can only give as much as I have. So also making sure that you are whole. I feel like it's not wrong to be selfish when it comes to making sure you good.
Yeah.
I feel like how can I help other people if I'm not straight? You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I want to have a lot of money one day so I can help other people. So I can like help to put people in other positions. And people have done that for me along the way. Like I don't always ask for help, but when help is given to me, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I try not to take it for granted. Sometimes we can because we feel like people owe us stuff,
Mm.
but they don't really owe you anything. Like a lot of times they're just doing it because they care about you.
Yeah.
And so like that type of energy is, I think it's rare and it's important to make sure we still keep some of that out here
Yeah.
because this world is cutthroat.
Yeah. Facts. It seems like you have been paying it forward for a pretty long time. Whether it is giving knowledge to other people, collaborating with other people, um, and like you said, not necessarily looking for things in return. And the most recent thing I can think about with that is kind of like the collaborations you've been doing with Kids at Play. Um, what has that relationship been for you guys?
It's been organic, man. I like those guys because they're hungry.
Yeah.
And like they came correct. You know, like it was it was it was kind of like, so I met Smith Knight like back when I was doing the Pink Box,
Okay.
and I think he was like still in high school.
Yeah.
Um, and to see him from then, and then to come to us like now, I was like, oh no, you've been working, bro. And and now he's got like a whole collective with him. You know, like I think what they're doing is amazing because it's needed. You know, like it. Some people, I feel like sometimes like they don't understand like you need a team. You know, like yeah, you can do a lot on your own. You can, like, but when you have a team, you're able to do so much more. You know, you're really able to push the like, especially when everybody's all in. You know, like that's one thing about it. From
Yeah.
what my interaction with them, they're all in. They're all you know, they all bought into this idea of the kids. You
Yeah.
know, and I think that's dope.
Yeah.
And so when they came to us, you know, like they came correct. You know, they rented the space, they threw the show, we made merch, and they came back and they did like two more.
Yeah.
You know, and they've constantly just been doing stuff, and you know we have nothing but respect for them. We even I've been to some of their house shows, um, and I've been to some of their parties. You know, like yeah, I might be an old head, but you know I'm all about having a good time. You know, respectfully, um, and just kind of like pushing the culture.
Yeah.
You know, like this is this is what is needed out here. You know, in all these other cities, there's things like this going on all the time.
Yeah.
You know, so it was kind of like a breath of fresh air to see that, and um, I can continue to commend them on what they're working on. You know, uh, I still work with them on projects now. You know, like
Yeah.
they do they model a lot of the clothes for us sometimes. Working with one of their photographers, Eddie, um, and you just got to kind of give like the props when you see good work, and that's all it is for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell them all the time. I've had a couple just sit down conversations with them, and they were like super fans of you guys. They told me about it, how they went about the process of like going straight to you guys and just having a conversation to be able to be in the space. But also, I always told them, I was like, just keep on going, because I see like what they got. Like you can see what they got. Like they have a collective of people, like you said, on the same wavelength, trying to go for like the same mission, and it seems like they are basically unstoppable. They will be unstoppable. Nothing will stop them if they continue to have the same mindset, and if everybody is still on the same wave. And that is like super commendable, because I know the power of delegation. I know the power of like having a team, and most of the stuff I've done have been solo acts. But like when it came to the aspect of like creating bigger and better work, just getting other people to be able to be on a team and having the same mission, it's just like there's nothing like it.
Yeah,
It's nothing like it.
yeah. I've been building a team over at Chilalay. Um, it's kind of always been me and Nico. When we first started Chilalay, we had a few other partners, but we went our separate ways. Um, but it's been me and Nico for the most part for the longest. But now like we kind of like started to like build our own team. We got two interns now, Wave and Norn,
Nice.
and they've kind of been a real big help to helping us kind of like get better, and knowing that you know that there are other people who have been watching, been have been fans of what's going on, and then when we approach them about being a part of it, they've kind of were like, we're all in. And I think since they've got on, like, I've seen, like, change within, the brand, and, things are getting better, drops are getting better. We're actually really starting to, like, plan for things like months in advance, when in past, which has been like, we got to drop this week, we got to get in the studio, and, those repetitions have kind of like allowed us to know what we're actually capable of doing. We could, we know that we could drop some shirts or some hoodies or whatever, like, whenever we want, but now it's kind of like, more focused, more disciplined, and really trying to, like, get better quality, and just do more.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but when you kind of put the pieces where they need to be, it does line up, like, it doesn't have to be hard.
Yeah.
So, shout out to my guys, shout out to my team, shout out to Nana. He's been helping us too a lot with Chilalay.
Oh, word.
Yeah, the mastermind behind ABAC.
Yes, a big ass cookout.
Yes, that in itself is also like a big part of, I feel like, the culture out here. And what he and the team has been able to do with ABAC is kind of like, it's rubbing off on Chilalay.
Okay.
It's a really, really well-oiled machine. You might not know from the outside in, but it's very organized.
Yeah.
It's very organized, and it makes me happy because, like, I feel like I'm a part of something that's, bigger than just t-shirts and clothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, experience, people.
Yeah.
A big ass cookout is about people. It's about those family reunions that that you used to have when you were a kid. I actually haven't had too many family reunions personally, but from the ones that I have been to, and a big ass cookout is like the closest thing to that for me. It's people I haven't seen in a while. It's just being outside, amongst the homies, amongst a sea of beautiful people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good food, good vibes, good music. And it was one of those things that, like, when we were doing Chilalay and we were, like, doing, like, parties and stuff like that, like, on North Side, it kind of, like, sparked that, like that feeling, like, oh yeah, like, we gonna be outside with the homies today.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely parts of a big ass cookout does feel like a family reunion.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, there are so many people that you may haven't seen in a while that come to the cookouts, and I know, like, this year was probably refreshing because there wasn't, like, any done last year, right?
Yeah, we didn't do anything because of COVID. So this was like the first cookout since 2019.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, bro, this was probably one of the best ones.
Really?
Even, well, this is probably one of the best ran ones for sure.
Okay.
Layout wise, we had a vendor village, we had like a food truck market, we had games, we had beer sponsors, we had VIP tents, and it was a vibe. I think a lot of people were they're waiting for it.
Yeah, people was ready to get outside.
People, like, COVID has definitely been it's been a real ordeal, like, trying to figure out how to have fun but to be responsible at the same time. We we waited for the guidelines to come out. You know what we could do. So
For sure.
it wasn't an issue on that end at all. But you know we just wanted to be responsible. So like we waited. You know, and when the time was right, you know, the people came out.
Yeah, I remember some of those like earlier big ass cookouts and like how crazy packed they were.
Yeah, that's before the fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was before the fence.
Yeah, and you know, it wasn't really any type of structure there. It's like, you know, we are throwing this thing and you know, you come out basically. And now I do see it now in how much structure when you speak about what you have tents, you have just different placement for things. That's incredible to see, to be able to see the growth, and I can only imagine where it would go in the future. So that's incredible.
You're trying to take it, man. Trying to take it to the moon.
I believe it. I believe it. So where do you see not only, you know, Earl Mack and Chilalay within like the next 3 to 8 years?
Chilalay, I would say we are still open.
Okay.
Maybe we have a second location somewhere. But that we're doing strategic collaborations with brands that are going to help push us, you know, and more into the light. I definitely want Chile to be a household name on the East Coast and, you know, the rest of America. I want us to do more pop-ups. I definitely feel like traveling is important for a streetwear brand. You need to be in the streets of different cities. You know, I think it's important to like take over your city and make a name for yourself in your city. But once you do that, start to travel. You know, get out, because you never know like who's gonna connect with it. You know, and I feel like the more people you can get in front of, you know, that's only gonna be it's only gonna be better for the brand. You know. So that's a big thing for us, you know, and maybe we do Complex Con, you know, top ups.
You did that one year, right?
We didn't do it.
I mean, not Chilalay, but like
well, I did a collaboration with a brand called 83 Futures, and the project we were working on was like a life size operation game, and that was at Complex Con. I actually wasn't there that year, but you know my work was there, and I mean that was pretty dope. That was a dope experience. Should have been there, but you know, due to you know unseen for things, I just wasn't able to make it that year. But the goal is to definitely do more stuff like that. To actually really, you know, get these strategic partnerships and collaborations that can help us leverage, you know, a lot of different things. And if we can't get them, just continue to just put out good products. I think that's it.
Yeah.
You know, as long as we're putting out good clothes and people want to keep wearing it, that's all I really care about right now. And as far as Earl Mack, get some more art out there, get some more paintings done. I'm still kind of like figuring out how I'm gonna structure Earl Mack Studios. Right now, it's just kind of like my Instagram like portfolio. You know, when I work on shirts or do drops, like I'll post it on there. But I'm trying to give it more structure and really kind of give it a little bit more backstory, because it's kind of like it's like inside of my head, you know, like the studio aspect is an important part of, you know, artists creating. You know, when they're in their studio, that's when they're getting work done. You know, they're trying things out. So a lot of the stuff I'm working on now is like it's just experiments. You know, I'm not really knowing how things are going to work out, but just, throwing some stuff onto the wall and hoping it sticks.
Yeah. Yeah. So we like to leave the people with a word. Obviously, like, there were many gems dropped along the way in this conversation. But we like to allow the guests to leave the people with something, one more thing. Whatever comes to your mind, whatever you feel the need to say, to give to the people, I'm sure they would appreciate it.
I would say, don't be afraid to get better. Don't be afraid to push yourself. And don't be afraid to say no. There's a lot of distractions out here, and if you're not careful about who is around you or what you're around, it can steal your energy. So you also need to protect your energy at all costs. So I'm learning that. I'm still learning that, so.
Yeah. I mean, it's a part of that growth.
Yeah.
That daily growth. that daily growth and that constantly getting better. It is just something that you're just going to constantly learn over time, due to experiences with others and like with yourself. And the more you know yourself, you're going to better position yourself. So, yeah. Yeah, man, I want to say I appreciate you coming out, bro. Taking some time. You didn't have to be here. You didn't have to say yes. But I definitely appreciate you like coming out and dropping a couple gems for people to be able to, take and interject it within like their lives. So I want to say appreciate you, bro. Thank you for coming out.
Thanks for having me, man.